issues with moral consciousness and communication. Uh, Actually, Habermas is a well-known philosopher for his theory of communicative rationality, truth, knowledge, concept of modernity, and discourse ethics. Actually, discourse ethics represents one of the most original and far-reaching attempts to defend a cognitivist deontological ethical theory in contemporary moral philosophy. So we can define discourse ethics is an approach to ethics that is founded upon rules of dialogue and which engages participants to approach an ethical dilemma with both pure rational reason and experience firmly in hand. Both these phases of knowledge are intended to supplement the dialogue and help the community reach a mutual understanding regarding a particular moral or ethical issues. Habermas begins with reason as the primary source for ethical knowledge, which is a Kantian contribution. Then, in a Hegelian fashion, Habermas supplements reason with individual and corporate experience, history, and tradition. Like Hegel, one can find in Habermas' discourse ethics a thesis, that is, the original statement or assertion of an ethical position based on rational thought, and antithesis, that is, varying views expressed through the process of argumentation, and a synthesis, the, the communally determined or mutually acceptance resolution. Finally, Habermas returns to the work of Kant in the way that the product of dialectic process becomes regarding a valid moral or ethical knowledge or truth. This is done through the application of a modified version of a Kantian principle of universalization. Habermas also acknowledges Peirce's emphasis on the value of knowledge in discourse. The process of communication that Peirce proposed involved raising validity claims either through linguistic expression or through observable behavior, and then testing those claims as a community to determine the acceptability of the claims. Foundational to the notion of discourse ethics and to any speech communication at all is Habermas' conception of validity claims, introduced by Habermas in his early work, What is Universal Pragmatics? So, validity claims represents the cornerstone of discourse ethics. So, we have four validity claims. So, the first one is the speaker must choose a comprehensible expression so that the speaker and hearer can understand one another. The second validity claim is the speaker must have intention of communicating a true proposition so that the hearer can share in the knowledge of the speaker. The third claim is the speaker must want to express his intentions truthfully so that the hearer can believe the utterance of the speaker can be can trust him. And the last one, that is fourth one, is the speaker must choose an utterance that is right so that the hearer can accept the utterance and speaker and hearer can agree with one another in the utterance with the respect to a recognized normative background. So we can find the relationship between self and other uh, in his discourse ethics as the basic moment of insight. He argues that the realization of moral consciousness is based on our ability to take a hypothetical attitude to the form of life and personal life history that has shaped our identities. So Habermas uses the expression validity claims in the broader sense. Um, Generally, arguing in argumentation is something to be avoided. But according to Habermas, argumentation ensures that all concerned in principle that take part freely and equally in a cooperative search for truth, where nothing uh, coerces anyone except the force of the betterer argument. Practical discourse is an exciting form of argumentative decision making. So the possibility of
Govinda,
that kind of yes, yes.
please wind up. I mean, you have 7 minutes time for presentation, and then there will be observations by Professor Milan sir as the chairperson. Then we can have discussions. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so Habermas actually argues that in ideal speech situation, that discourse ethics is possible, where everyone has equal opportunity. And so discourse ethics formalize approach to ethical decision making that can employed in order to assist a group of individuals to come a mutual acceptable resolution to the issue in hand. Um, so the final goal is to reach a mutual satisfying agreement. Um, Thank you, ma'am, for giving me the opportunity. Uh,
You see, Gopinath, Govinda, your thesis has touched almost so many important points. I have Habermas books. I started reading 2 years ago, but I have not continued. After that, the discourse ethics, that I think it is a part of his communicative action, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah, communicative rationality you are talking about, and said it is some kind of defense of cognitive ethics or something like that. You did touch, you did say, and it is good kind of presentation you have made. The only thing I have for this thing is that any kind of debate or argument always has this normative kind of um, necessity, and that is what I found. I still remember Amartya Sen's argumentative Indian. Dialogue, Samvada has been a kind of main feature of the Indian philosophers. Even in the Upanishads, you'll find everything is put in the form of dialogue. Bhagavad Gita itself is a kind of a dialogue. Krishna Arjuna Samvad. So what I have been little unhappy is that in the Indian situation, we have plenty. Say, for example, you take the 16 categories of um, what do you call Prachina Nyaya, 16 categories. You know that. Pramana, Prama, all those Prameya and Vada, Chala Jati, all those things, Nirnaya, Nigasthananam. There, if you closely examine those things, they give you guidelines how to argue, how to put your, and what is your intention. You did mention about intention also. That Quibling, Sureshwara Acharya and Vidyaranya, both. Yesterday I didn't touch upon that. I've got that references. Quibbling is not allowed in the Indian tradition. You have to have a particular motive, a particular philosophy to be established. Only then you can have a dialogue with others. So, what I was trying to say is that Indian tradition has around this kind of what you call discourse ethics you are talking about. There cannot be debate or dialogue without a background assumption of ethics. Because, uh, but when you come to, I think Habermas belongs to analytical philosophy, right?
No, sir, I mean, we cannot consider him as a exactly analytic philosopher
Does
because
he belong
sometimes
to,
he
does
moves.
he a halfway house between continental and Anglo-American English
Mm,
language kind of thing? I think
yes,
he
yes,
writes
sir.
in German, right? He writes
Yes,
in
sir.
German, right? That you did talk about Kant, there are reference to Kant and Hegel, how his thoughts, ethical thoughts, especially this discourse text was influenced by Kantian and Hegelian framework, right? Hegelian will come in the case of dialectics, right? And then even
Yes,
Vedanta also uses, right? Then Sureshwara Acharya says that one should not be quibbling, one should try to argue properly. So that is some kind of ethical assumption. So I would have been very happy if you can compare in your thesis, you can give some comparison with the Indian position. And Indian ethics is not well developed as a what you call autonomous discipline like Western ethics is. But these have been taken for granted. You take typical narratives, Ramayana or Mahabharata, you'll find many references, many issues like Dharmapasa is dilemma, Dharmapasa. It is dilemma. Dilemma was accepted. Bhagavad Gita itself has this provisional dilemma. The dilemma of Arjuna is provisional because it started with that as a kind of hypothesis, and a genuine dilemma can never be resolved in any ethical paradigm. A dilemma is based on psychological conflicts. But I do this, and we are not able to. Both are important to me. I'm not able to take a particular action when decision whether I should choose this action or this action. So that puts me in that kind of dire state. They're caught between the two devils, Gypsy and the devil. So that is the kind of thing which Kierkegaard himself talks about. That self can never come to terms with itself. Heidegger also accepted that. As far as self's own self-understanding is concerned, to be, not to be, authentic, inauthentic kind of life, the self can never come to terms with itself. That's how that is explained in terms of making a distinction between fear and anxiety. Anxiety is rooted in the human life. So if you're talking about intersubjective kind of dialogue, mukhamukhi, that two souls, self and the other, that is very important. Did you refer to Levinas? Levinas.
no, sir.
Levinas, I think, or somebody, the, that is, I started reading around one paragraph and I didn't continue. I forgot the name of the book also. That Levinas, I think, was self and the other. Because, that is
Mm,
presupposed by any kind of dialogue. So as long as this duality is there, then there is a harmonetical presupposition, mental kind of harmonetical kind of what you call prism of each person. So as long as this duality of these two persons who are involved in dialogue, so because Western philosophy is based on individualism.
yes,
The concept of Western self and the Indian self is very much different. In the West,
yes.
you can't talk about liberty and rights without individualism. So as long as individualism is there will be always problem with one self and another self coming into to have a dialogue. Of course, intersubjectivity of Husserl also, right? Dealing with that. So I don't know how you will do it. Carry on, but your thesis. Your presentation had many important points. Go on working on it. I'll be very happy. I want to give you this humble suggestion. Try to give some small comparison whenever it is. You can speak to your own guide supervisor. Arup Jyoti is a very good teacher. Is a close friend of mine, of course, younger to me. So go on thinking, but please think little bit about for Indian counterpart, that kind of possible ethical discourse. To start with, I'm giving you, they just studied it, Vada, Jalpa, Vitanda, Chala, Jati, Nigasthana, etc. And you can reconstruct, you can have a reconstruction of the hidden ethical parameters in that. I don't know how you'll do it, it is up to you. Because I myself do not know about, I cannot give you anything, because that is what I had at the hands. It's a kind of a hunch I have. I'm just
Yes.
requesting you to see whether it is possible or not. If it's not possible, you can just leave it. Right? Okay, then let's pass on to the next. Thank you very much. On behalf of IKS Assam University, Philosophy Department. So thank you. Please carry on. Let's pass on to to the next speaker.
Yeah, our next speaker is Sir Biplab Malik. He is assistant professor, research scholar, assistant professor of Kharagpur College, West Bengal. So
Biplab Malik.
Yeah, Biplab.
Biplab Malik.
Thank you, Munmun ma'am and sir, Milan sir, and also Assam University.
Kharagpur College is at Kharagpur College?
Yes, sir.
Kharagpur College. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Please go on.
So, to give me opportunity to present my paper. So the name of my paper is Consciousness in Sankhya Philosophy. Actually, I'd like to deal on two questions. First of all, let me start with this because we all know that Sankhya philosophy accepts duality that are Purusha and Prakriti. So, and on the one hand, Purusha is consciousness, pure consciousness. It is not conscious, but it is it itself is consciousness. And on the other hand, Prakriti is the other part of reality, which is unconscious and also active. Here, the question I'd like to deal that first of all, the question is if in Sankhya philosophy, basically Purusha is Nitya, and as because it is consciousness, so it should be one. But in Karika number 18 and 18, it is actually said in Sankhya Karika, Ishwar Krishna is saying that Janana Marana Karananam Pratiniyamad Viparjayat. So Purusha Bhutta Siddham Kaivallam. So here in Sankhya Karika, we are seeing that Bahu Purusha is accepted by Ishwar Krishna. So it is there are some philosophers or there are some scholars who is raising their question that if Purusha is Nitya and Purusha itself is consciousness, then how can we accept that Purusha is many? Purusha can be many. How can Purusha be many? On the other hand, another question is rising by some philosophers that who is actually entangled in bondage and also liberated in Sankhya philosophy. In Karika number 62, it is said that Tasman Baddhate Adha Namuchate Napi Sangsarati Kaschit Sangsarati Baddhati Muchate Nanasraya Prakriti. So it is clear from this Karika that Prakriti, it is none other than Prakriti who is actually which is getting entangled in bondage and also liberated. But the another karika we are getting from we are getting in the same Sankhya karika written by Sir Krishna, karika number 55, that tatra jarmarana kitam dukkham prapnoti chetanaha purusaha. So here Purusha is getting jarmarana kitam dukkham. Purusha is getting sorrow. So how can we say that it is just Prakriti who is entangled in bondage, or who is in bondage and also liberated? So this is the main two questions philosophers, recent philosophers are dealing on. So here I would like to just I'd like to discuss what I accept, or what in my point of view. So first of all, the question is, how can we say, or how can it be that Purusha is many in Sankhya philosophy? Purusha is Nitya, and also Purusha is consciousness. Here I'd like to actually I'd like to deal this question from the background of Swami Hariharananda Arana's Patanjala Yoga Darshana. Swami Hariharananda here is giving the very succinct answer that we have to take a look at the karika number 19, karika number 18, which says about the manyness of Purusha, that janana marana karananam pratiniyamat janana marana karananam. What does it mean? It means that the scholars, the recent scholars, they are meaning it as there is Bohu Purusha, and who is getting into Janma, birth, death, the birth and death. But in the Patanjala Yoga Darshana, Swami Hariharananda is telling that we should not just understand this karika by this. We have to understand this karika that Purusha is the one who is the knower of his past janma and mrityu. It means which his past birth and death is the knower of his birth and death. If we just understand the way like this, then it will be not a question will not be arised. So that's the one thing. Actually, and the second one is who is getting in bondage and who is liberated in Sankhya philosophy. It is accepted that it is only Prakriti who is getting in bondage and also liberated. But in my point of view, I think that we can actually, it is said also in Sankhya Tattva Kaumudi that Purusha is also getting in bondage and also liberated. And Hariharananda Arana in his Patanjala Yoga Darshan is telling this thing and accepting this.
Kindly wind up.
Okay, ma'am. Just one
more
minute.
minute,
Just
yeah.
1 minute. By telling that that it is not just Prakriti, but also Purusha, which both Purusha and Prakriti are in bondage and also liberated. He is telling, I am quoting his Bengali writing that he is telling in his book, which is Jahar Dukkho Tahari Mukti. Amar Dukkho ia Anubhav kori, otoeb amari mukti. So, who is entangled in bondage and also liberated? I think, I perceive that I am in bondage, so I am in liberated. So I will be also liberated. Here, it means that ahankar, and ahankar, it's coming from buddhi. So in ahankar, Hariharananda is telling that in the ahankara, both Prakriti and Purusha are both the Prakriti and Purusha are present. So we obviously will say that it is not just Prakriti, but also Purusha are in bondage and also liberated. Thank you.
You see, there are some confusions. Bondage is whether bondage in the sense of Advaita or in the sense of Sankhya, bondage cannot be applicable to Purusha. I mean, what you call Prakriti. Because Prakriti cannot have, it is Achit, it's Jada. So therefore, it has no experience of suffering, Dukkha. I think you are aware of Dukkha Traya Vighata. There are three sufferings caused by
Yes.
three roots, right? Dukkha Traya Vighata and Sankhya. Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmika, like that.
Mhm.
So
And
now,
Adhyatmika.
this
Yeah.
experience of suffering is undergone only by Purusha when it has illicitly identified its reflected consciousness on the subtle matter, on the subtle matter. And this Sureshwara very beautifully explains, yoga, it is also there. The whole purpose of yoga is to segregate this confusion, the loss of identity of pure Purusha. In plurality, you had already said in the beginning that just like Advaita Vedanta came to say, in the original Sankhya, Nireshwara Sankhya also, Purusha is a finite atomic consciousness, is consciousness. It is consciousness, right? Satchidananda actually this thing, it was there in Sankhya also. So Prakriti cannot be said to be in bondage because bondage is possible only to soul. Because Prakriti is the cause of bondage. Prakriti is the cause of bondage because Sankhya Karika in the beginning or somewhere it is said that Prakriti supplies Vishaya, objects for the enjoyment of Purusha. So Prakriti as a material physical entity cannot have, being insentient, cannot undergo experience of pain and pleasure. So you cannot say that both Prakriti and Purusha are in bondage. It is natural process. It is swabhavik. It is swabhavik for Prakriti to be in the dynamic kind of. Then Samya Avastha was disturbed because of this proximity with Purusha. Samya Avastha, after that only evolution starts. So you have to be very clear what you want to say, and then you cannot say. And just bringing out this point, there are so many other things we can speak about as far as consciousness is concerned. And I suggest you to read Shankara Acharya's criticism of Sankhya. He said both Prakriti and Purusha are eternal. There are two ultimate realities. If they are eternal, then after evolution, Purusha has lost its original pure status of consciousness and it has confused, it has accepted its illicit identity, ahankar, based on its ahankar that I sense, ahankar, right? Ahamvriti and Vishyavriti, both are there. So Vishyavriti is supplied by Prakriti. Ahamvriti is a reflection of this consciousness on the subtle matter. That is what we call as mind because mind is a shape. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is reference is there in the Chetodarpanamarjanam, Bhava Mahadvagni Nirvapanam. This is the first sloka of Shikshastakam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chetodarpana. Mind is treated just like a mirror. So when it is dirty, so even for the yoga also mind has to be first controlled, cleaned. That's what we talk about chitta suddhi. So sattvic element we have to bring up, raise up to the level of sattva guna. And through that only pure consciousness, that I am pure consciousness in the language of Advaita Vedanta, that will be realized. Otherwise, in that kind of mishratva, condition of mishra, kind of everything is just in a kind of khichdi kind of thing. Sattva, Raja, Tama, all confused. And then Sattva Guna is in the background, and Raja and Tama, they are playing on the surface. So that you segregate these things slowly. That is yoga is all about. So now please read Shankara Acharya's original criticism against Sankhya philosophy, and that will help you. And in so many ways, they said what are eternal. So in the evolution, Purusha is in bondage, since what are eternal, and their conjunction, a Purusha involved in this process of life, right? Samsara will also be eternal. So Purusha will never get liberation. What is eternal? Purusha and Prakriti, they're all eternal. Their combination, that is what you call as bondage, and that process of life is also will be eternal. So in that case, what is eternal can never be stopped. So moksha is impossible. This is a basic argument Shankaracharya gives against Sankhya. So please go through that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sir,
I think
it's crucial, and I'll keep it in my mind. But there is actually there is 5 types of, as I know, that 5 types of theories on the bondage and liberation of Sankhya philosophy. So one of these is actually what you said, that the natural liberation process, said by K.C. Bhattacharya, and in recent philosopher Dmitry Sevenko and some other philosophers is accepting this exactly this thought. But actually, what I said, actually, this is my own thinking, and it's yeah, I accept your view, and I'll take a look at it. So thank you.
is there any question? I think others also should ask questions. I should not be only talking about this. My role is just to moderate. Other participants also can ask. You are most welcome to ask questions. We should interact. At least one question should come from the participants.
So participants are free to raise questions, queries, observations, please.
Okay. They are
There is
too
no
with
one.
their own paper.
So
They are too much caught with their own papers. Don't be frightened. You have to just pick up your mind. First, you should know what you have to speak. I'm speaking to the rest of the participants, and within 7 minutes, there's hardly you can speak about anything. So the thing is, you have to know the main point, the fundamental problem. You have to problematize. It is just useless just repeating. That is what I was trying to say yesterday. Are the post-Shankarites, post-Shankara Advaitins repeating the same thing, which was already stated by Shankaracharya? Then there is where Yukti comes. As far as Shruti is concerned, even Shruti itself has a lot of interpretations. One Upanishad says something else, another says some other thing. Even within Upanishad, there are rooms for debate, argumentation, alternative interpretations. So that is what I started writing today. Very soon I will be submitting to Munmun. That many people think that Upanishads are not in just revealed text and they don't have any philosophical merit. In the Upanishads, there are a lot of arguments and debates. They always start with some hypothesis, and arguments are always there. Teacher and Shishya and father and son. All kinds of debates, husband and wife debates are all there. Yagyavalkya and the Maitreyi debate is there in great Armanika Upanishad. So in that way, that is the kind of thing. So we also should have the same kind of thing here. So please focus your mind on a small point. That is how, because I conducted so many orientation programs and refresher courses. There is something called micro teaching. So many teachers of college and universities, they are not aware. What is micro teaching? Micro teaching is different from seminar presentation. Almost all of them, they did this micro teaching like a seminar presentation. Micro teaching is nothing. Today I will take my class on a particular topic of a unit. So that is what they have to show, prove themselves that is how they have been teaching in the college and universities. This I found miserably not understood by many participants. So here, let us take this particular seminar facilitated by IKS, Department of Philosophy, Assam University, as a great opportunity for you to open up your mind. Seminar means even when you have to present 10, 15 pages, after you're allotted half an hour, even there also, we have to focus on a small point. And on that, you have to elaborate. Detailed analysis you have to keep. But if we speak too many things within 7 minutes, then we will be doing something for everything and not everything for something. So in that way, please, let's pass on to the next speaker.
Yeah, our next speaker is Mr. Ayush Srivastav, research scholar, IIT Bombay. He's already there. Ayush, yeah, you can start your presentation, please.
Good morning, everyone.
IIT Bombay.
Yes, yes.
Great. Please go on.
Just few seconds, I will present my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
So today I will be presenting on this topic, dreamless sleep as a state of consciousness. First of all, I will start by defining it. We can't define it, but I still will give definition to it. Consciousness as Shushukti enjoys bliss being disconnected from the external and internal world. Mind and sense organs comes to rest and consciousness remains concentrated within itself. The experience of deep sleep is a state of non-intentional consciousness. So today I will explain and discuss whether consciousness is present in deep and dreamless sleep, as many philosophers and neuroscientists today argue that dreamless sleep is a state of blackout, where consciousness disappears completely. In contrast, when we look from the lens of Advaita Vedanta, specifically Mandukya Upanishad, it maintains that there is consciousness present in this stage. Also, as Brahman cannot be unconscious because it is consciousness that is self-revealing. I will try to present and show here that mode of consciousness never disappears and remain the same even during the dreamless sleep. So first of all, I will start from quoting Evan Thompson. In the state of deep and dreamless sleep, the person rests quietly with no desires. As a hawk or eagle, tired after flying around in the sky, folds its wings and is carried to its roosting place. Even so, the person runs to the state where he desires no desires and dreams no dream. And second, continuing it, as a man closely embarrassed by a beloved wife, knows nothing outside, nothing inside. So the person closely embarrassed by the self of wisdom knows nothing outside, nothing inside. That is the form of him in which his desires are fulfilled, with this self as his desire, free from desire, beyond sorrow. Deep sleep is a peaceful and blissful experience. But certain questions arise here. Are we really conscious in deep sleep? So I will describe now more about dreamless sleep. Consciousness is there in deep sleep as we wake up and say, I slept happily and I did not know anything. This is all due to memory. Deep sleep is a phenomenal experience. It is not inference, but experience, and it is the causal source of waking and dreaming experience. In deep sleep, there is nothing to be aware of. There is no experience of mind, body, world, feeling, emotions. There is consciousness, but nothing to reflect upon. It shines and illuminates without any instrument. To put it in a short way, it is experience of nothingness. And quoting from Beena Gupta's beautiful book, Chit, when a person goes to sleep, he takes with him the material of his all embarrassing world, himself pulls it apart, and himself builds it up, dreams by his own nature and own light, then this person becomes self-illuminating. Moving forward, there are debate about dreamless sleep. Uh, uh, like an important question that needs to be answered. If consciousness is entirely absent in deep sleep, then how does the life of consciousness hold together across the gaps between being asleep and being awake? Considering that deep sleep creates a gap in our consciousness, this gap can be filled upon awakening. We are always aware of the gap from the memory we gather when we are awake, recalling immediately after a moment what is happening around us. So the consciousness can't be entirely absent. Awareness is always there. Advait presents a dreamless sleep as consciousness of awareness of nothing. When we are awake from dreamless sleep, then we become aware of having peaceful and blissful sleep. Even when we are not conscious of anything, this is due to memory or prior experience. We become aware of bliss we had while asleep. The dreamless sleep in Advaitin thought also refers not merely to passive resting. Instead, it eliminates an aspect of fundamental reality, not apparent in waking or dream state. It is always undivided and blissful consciousness, where the Atman, like a tired bird, is at rest because dreamless sleep is like a nest. Deep sleep consciousness is also purer than dream because it is homogeneous, unified, and undifferentiated mass of consciousness. It demonstrates that something unchanging and foundational to all experiences must be present, even when the consciousness of the outer world is absent. And lastly, to support my arguments, I will discuss just a second. I will discuss about non-intentional consciousness, where it is free from the objects of the world. Deep sleep consciousness as prajna is when one enjoys bliss, being disconnected from the external world and the internal world. Mind and all sense organs comes to rest, and consciousness remains concentrated within itself as it becomes free from all objects. In the deep sleep state, there is no intentionality of consciousness because it is not directed towards anything, whether external or internal. So, in this sense, the experience of deep sleep is a state of non intentional consciousness. Consciousness, in its pure and transcendental nature, is non intentional because there is nothing else it is to be about directed towards, as it is self luminous and present throughout. Consciousness transcends the subject object duality in this, and Shankara holds that consciousness is ultimately non intentional and belongs to no one. The consciousness of an object is secondary and dependent mode, while the metaphysically fundamental mode is pure consciousness without an object. Pure consciousness is never directed towards the object. It is always independent of mental states, phenomena upon which lights happens to fall. So this is it. Some of my viewpoints and reflection in this short period of time. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay,
Able to make
this is Srivastav. Uh, did you? I was actually looking for. I wanted to give you some reference. Sureshwara Acharya's analysis. While I'm looking for that, yesterday I was reading it. I didn't pay attention towards the last point when you were speaking about the concluding kind of thing. Did you refer to Sakshi Chaitanya, witness consciousness?
Yes, sir. I was not able to hear you.
Did you refer to what you call Sakshi Chaitanya, witness consciousness?
No, 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 not.
No,
That
you cannot. You cannot. There's a very fundamental flaw in your presentation. We cannot talk about Sushupti. It is impossible to talk about Sushupti without
the witness consciousness.
basing it. You have to, its only basis is witness consciousness. Witness consciousness, where still ajnana, avidya is still there. Avidya still operates. So in that context, Sureshwara Acharya brings in Pragabhava and Anupalabdhi. Pragabhava and Anupalabdhi. Then you know Ramanuja's criticism of Maya, Saptavidha, Anupapatti. In that, one of the criticism is Sarupa Anupapatti, untenability of nature of Maya. The Anirvachanya, all those things. Then in Advaita Vedanta, Maya is Bhavarupa, positive entity.
Mhm.
That comes into the picture when Sureshwara Acharya was trying to explain it. I don't want to give another lecture here. I'll give you the reference. Praga Bhava and Anupalabdhi is brought in to explain how consciousness, which is unintentional, right? Unintentional. In neuropsychology, cognitive science, artificial intelligence, nowadays they are talking about all these things in terms of stimuli response system. They are completely doing away with consciousness. Then from there, I started thinking about, we can even talk about physical intentionality without act of consciousness, because natural process, which goes around on its own, natural law, there is intentionality in that. I started writing about that also. So that is what Yadvichavada is about. Yadvichavada, accidentalism, mechanical operation of the world, automata, physical universe as an automata. Now here, as far as your point is concerned, it was Ramanujacharya who, for the first time, tried to dismantle Sakshi Chaitanya, that witness consciousness. Ramanuja was actually very critical that pure consciousness is impossible. For Ramanuja, consciousness is explained. Brahman has consciousness. Atman has consciousness. And for Sankara, Atman is, Brahman is consciousness. In terms of this, Coppola is and has. They have a lot of difference. And in the contemporary times, in 2007, Professor Rajendra Prasad was invited to Manipur University. We had one ICPS sponsored national seminar on Vedanta. There he presented his argument against Sakshi Chaitanya. I am still yet to have his paper. I don't know whether our department has published that or not. So he did not, at that time I was unhappy because he did not refer to Ramanujacharya's original criticism against Sakshi Chaitanya, and he was trying to say that it is impossible that witness consciousness can be there in operation. But that one, you may have to read what Sureshwara Acharya talks about. He brought in once again Pragabhava. I will give you the reference. I'll take a Xerox of this thing, and the particular section I will give to you. Yesterday I was reading. I was trying to trace. I don't know where I read it. Right? I've got two books translated by my own teacher, Harbal Subramanian, on Sureshwara Acharya. Right? So I'll give it to you that your fundamental defect, which you have committed in your presentation today, is that you have not touched upon Sakshi Chaitanya, witness consciousness, where avidya is still operating. Without that, you cannot talk about Sushupti. Sushupti. So please keep that in mind.
Okay.
Otherwise, by the time, if it is your thesis, a part of your thesis, you'll have problem. Right?
Okay.
So thank you very much for, Mohammed, let's go on to the next.
Yes, sir. So our next speaker is Miss Kamalika Roy, research scholar, Vishwabharati Shanti Niketan. Are you there, Miss Kamalika? Yeah, please.
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, very
We
much.
can hear.
Okay. Thank you so much for lending this opportunity to me to present my talk. And I'll just start presenting my talk through sharing the screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Okay. So the name of the presentation is, one second, just. So the topic of my presentation is the problem of other minds and exploration of solutions. What is, first of all, we need to know what is exactly meant by the problem of other minds. The problem of other minds is an important problem in philosophy of mind, which basically means that we cannot know about the mental states of other persons. Why we cannot know about the mental states of other persons? Because we, as social beings, we need to have an understanding of what others are going through, what is their feelings, etc. But we posit their feelings, their understanding very often through their behavior, through what they are acting out. Okay, but their actions or their behaviors can be very much misleading because we do not have any direct access to those states of consciousness. Now, this problem of other mind actually involves two intertwined but distinct kinds of issues. The first problem is that whether others are undergoing or whether they are having any kind of mental state or any kind of a conscious state at all. And the second problem is that if they are going through any kind of mental state, then what is their mental state like? That is, what are their lived experience like? What they are feeling. Okay, so that is the second kind of problem that is intertwined here. And regarding the first issue, to solve this, we need to know at first when we can call something as conscious. In this connection, both scientists and philosophers by and large agree that a being can be held conscious if they not only have the capability of subjective experiencing, but also they can shape or regulate their way of existence in light of their experience or depending on their mental states. That is, their consciousness is reflected in their goal-directed behaviors and their learning to cope with novel situations. Now, we need to identify which beings are conscious or which beings are in-minded beings. And here, before I go to the discussion of the ways, I need to mention here at first that use of language has been deliberately omitted here because generally use of language is thought as a thing of human monopoly. So it is arguably a trait of the species, that is human beings, who possess the highest level of consciousness, and that is why I am hereby sidestepping it to look for an unbiased view. So the ways that scientists and philosophers talk about regarding identifying mental states are various behavioral methods and various neuroscientific methods. Behavioral methods include versatile adaptability, communicative behavior, zombie tests, etc. And neuroscientific methods include EEG, fMRI, TMS, etc. And all these are just used in laboratory in medical centers, and these bolstered our assumption that the subject is going through some kind of mental state. So these neuroscientific evidences are strengthening our claims of claiming some being as conscious, or claiming that the subject in question possesses mental states. So if we are cautious enough to rule out that the subject in question is not merely acting out of stimulus-response behavior, that they are not merely driven by homeostasis as pre-programmed by nature, and then we strengthen our claim with the neuroscientific methods, then these behavioral methods and neuroscientific methods are strong evidences to know that if others also possess mental states or not. So using these ways, we can find out that all vertebrates and some invertebrates, which include some arthropods and a few cephalopods, they are only conscious. And some recent researchers like Cavalli and Segmundum Ortin, they have questioned the exclusion of plants, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and organisms like that from the sphere of in-minded beings. But there are compelling recent evidences which show that the apparently most convincing behavior are merely genetically pre-programmed by nature. So they do not reflect any sign of mental state or conscious intention on part of fungi, bacteria, protozoa, plants, etc. Now, regarding the second issue, the second problem is that what is the felt experience or what is the feeling of the mental states of others like? It is rather unyielding to scientific evidence still now, because regardless of how much we try through scientific tests that what they are going through, we cannot peer into what they are actually feeling like. So there is lack of scientific evidences right now, and we can only speculate here. But mere speculation can be very much wrong, as Nigel already shows in his seminal article, what it is like to be bad. Hereby, I'm suggesting an idea which is a kind of speculation, but which is based on our experiences of daily life. It is that we human beings are very different from each other, and our differences in thinking pattern, decision making, etc. are very clearly brought out in the differences of reaction to and our way of handling of any particular situation. So to say the same situation, or if I paraphrase it in technical language, the same stimuli elicits different reactions to it. This means that the argument that is made in inverted spectrum is not very much uncommon. Okay, very often there are differences ranging from subtle to big differences that vary from person to person of how we experience something. But although we do not have the same feeling as the other person, that is always there is the gap between the first person and the third person perspective, we are able to figure out what he or she is going through. Okay, now this grasping of others' mental states, that is what they are feeling right now, this can be done, I think, by a kind of analogical reasoning. But this kind of analogical reasoning that I am suggesting is not totally same as what is presented generally in this context. The traditional analogical reasoning says that when you see somebody responding in the same kind of way to the same kind of stimuli, we infer that the other person is also feeling the same way as us in that particular kind of situation. But differing from that, I suggest that we posit how others' mental states are like by way of finding some resemblances, not necessarily specific resemblances, but resemblances in pattern between our behavior and between the other person's behavior, between our reaction and their reaction in response to even different kind of stimuli. So not
Ms. Kamalika, please wind up, please.
yeah, here I'm ending it, that we can know about others' mental states, what they're feeling like through this kind of analogical reasoning. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Kamalika,
Yes, sir.
first, I would like to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Do you believe that other mind was started in the West, or there is nothing like other mind issue in Indian philosophy?
The problem of other mind has been mentioned in mainly in Western philosophy. Of course, it's a discussion maybe in Indian philosophy also, but mainly.
No. Let's not bother about the presentation in English language.
Okay.
The word, the expression, other mind.
Yeah.
It is an English word, right? It is not about language. It is about the meaning part, philosophical meaning. Because either Dignaga or somebody, especially in Vijnanavad, this occurred. It was actually mentioned. I found technical term is there for other mind. Sanskrit term in Buddhism. Dignaga or somebody, not Dharmakriti. I forgot. I read that. That particular text cited by Sachidananda Murthy. There is a small book on Buddhism written by, it has a black hardbound kind of a small book.
Okay.
I have that copy with me. I can trace in my Almira and I can give you that reference.
Okay, see.
I started suspecting that the Western people, Buddhism and all these Sanskrit texts were already available in the 19th century, especially in French and German language. I had the authority of Sefali Moitro, D. of Jadavpur University. Her mother was German, father is Bengali.
Hmm.
So she told me, we were talking one day when I was in Jaipur University, 1997 and 1999. I was there for 2 years. So she confided. She also has these strong hands. Many of our ideas, they were taken away from us through translation into French and German from Sanskrit. Because, I didn't study like you, I never studied any Western philosophy. I studied only classical Indian philosophy, except symbolic logic. I didn't study anything. I was very good in logic also. What I'm trying to say is that after becoming teacher only, I had to face use JRF exam. So it took 1 year for me to teach Western philosophy to myself. I studied everything on my own. That's how I came to know a little bit of Western philosophy. Then after teaching Western philosophy, Western metaphysics, this and that, so many things I started teaching political philosophy. I didn't find anything new in them. I was easily able to understand because this is there in Vijnanavada. This issue has come, and you may also refer to Husserl. And for that, you can take help from our Munmun, Madam Munmun, because she has worked a thesis on Ramanuja and Husserl. Husserl talks about intersubjectivity because in Husserlian phenomenology, first person account is very important. Adverbial modifier. John sees redly. John sees red is different from John sees redly. This is first person account. And it is also related to that Australian philosopher who talks about soft problem and hard problem of consciousness. You're right. Still, the
Yeah.
existence of the mind is the problem. I only wanted to suggest you,
Yeah.
maybe Vijnanavada, Buddhist logicians, philosophers have some answer to that. Because they say, the Atma Khyati,
Hmm.
Buddhist theory of error. Because they say there is no external world. What is external, out there-ness, distance, all these things is just failure to know that what the so-called external is internal. There's nothing like externality. So what is internal is confused to be external. That is error. That is what you call as Atma Khyati. So if that is my own position, how am I going to understand that there are other persons? How am I having a dialogue with them? Am I having a dialogue in my dream? Or is the entire world a collective dream? That kind of issue, from there, this issue of other mind originated in Buddhism. I sometimes I'm very rude. I found out that many of the things, say for example, empty terms in analytical philosophy. Now everybody thinks that it was started by Russell. I have the authority of B.K. Matilal and Professor Jain Mohanty. They have confirmed it was B.K. Matilal who told Jain Mohanty when they were students in Calcutta University, somewhere in Bengal, Calcutta. B.K. Matilal brought that text where Nyaya was talking about empty terms. I have a strong suspicion of these Western people. So please go to that. I should not talk much about that. Still, your paper is very good. Your presentation is very good. I appreciate you. As far as your own self-consistency within your own presentation is concerned, you did well. I only wanted you to try to see whether what I suggested to you is right or wrong.
No,
I can give to you the reference. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
One. Let's go on.
Thank you, Kamalika. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Rinki Mishra. Rinki Mishra is our next speaker, research scholar of Banaras Hindu University. Are you there, Rinki Mishra?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Please
First of all,
introduce
sir, bye
yourself
now to all of you.
and, your title of your presentation, and then you can start.
My name is
Rinki,
Rinki
which
Mishra.
I didn't listen to very carefully. You are from Rajasthan or what's it?
Please, sir. I can't.
Your affiliation, institute.
Banaras Hindu University Research
Okay,
Scholar.
BSU. Okay. So you are a research scholar.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please go on.
My paper topic is Descartes and La Mettrie on consciousness and analysis. This paper provides a comparative analysis of the perspective on consciousness present by René Descartes and Julien Offray de La Mettrie, two influential philosophers from distinct era. The concept of consciousness has been a central topic of philosophical inquiry, with thinkers throughout history of offering diverse perspectives on its nature and significance. They approached the idea of consciousness from contrasting philosophical frameworks. Descartes, a proponent of dualism, emphasized the distinction between the mind and body, while La Mettrie, an advocate of materialism, viewed consciousness is intricately tied to physical process. This paper aims to analyze and compare Descartes and La Mettrie view on consciousness, highlighting their key arguments and implications for contemporary discussion. Descartes on consciousness. Descartes' philosophical system rests on the foundational principle of dualism, posing a fundamental distinction between the immaterial mind and the material body. In this seminal work, Meditation on First Philosophy, Descartes contended that consciousness is the defining characteristics of the mind, separate from the mechanical function of the body. He famously asserted cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, underscoring the importance of self-awareness and the consciousness thought as the basis of human existence. According to Descartes, consciousness is a non-material entity transcending the physical realm. He believed that the mind as a thinking substance is capable of physical introspection, self-reflection, and abstract reasoning, setting humans apart from mere automations. Descartes' skepticism toward the mechanical nature of the body led him to propose the existence of an immaterial soul that is responsible for conscious thought and self-awareness, thereby rejecting any reductionist explanation of consciousness based on materialistic principle. In contrast to Descartes' dualistic framework, La Mettrie approached consciousness from a materialistic perspective, considering the mind as a product of complex physical process within the body, rejecting the existence of an immaterial soul. La Mettrie viewed consciousness as intricately linked to the intricate working of the human body, akin to a sophisticated biological machine. In this work, Man a Machine, La Mettrie poses that all mental phenomena, including consciousness, could be fully explained by the psychological function of the body, particularly the brain and the nervous system. For La Mettrie, consciousness was not a transcendental entity, but rather a result of the interaction between neurons, electrical impulses, and biochemical reaction within the brain. He argued that complex organization of the human body devoid of any supernatural or metaphysical element could fully account for the intricacies of human consciousness and subjective experience. This materialistic stance challenged the traditional dualistic understanding of consciousness and had far-reaching implications for the study of human cognition and behavior. Descartes and La Mettrie divergent perspective on consciousness reflect their contrasting philosophical framework, with the Descartes emphasized the metaphysical nature of the mind and La Mettrie advocating for a materialistic interpretation of consciousness. While Descartes underscored the significance of self-awareness and introspection as a distinctive feature of immaterial mind, La Mettrie sought to ground consciousness in the intricate psychological process of the human body. Despite their difference, both philosophers contributed to the ongoing discourse on the nature of consciousness and the mind-body relationship. Descartes emphasized on the subjective experience of self-awareness and rational thoughts has influenced philosophical inquiries into the nature of the self and personal identity. While La Mettrie's materialistic approach has paved the way for more scientifically grounded understanding of human cognition and behavior, Descartes and La Mettrie contributions have had a profound and enduring influence on the ongoing exploration of consciousness and the mind, shaping philosophical inquiries and scientific research across various disciplines. Their ideas continue to inspire critical investigation into the nature of human cognition and the complexities of subjective experience. I conclude my paper. The contrasting view of Descartes and La Mettrie on consciousness illustrate the complex nature of philosophical inquiry into the mind-body problem. While Descartes emphasized the immaterial nature of consciousness and transcendent qualities, Lemaitre materialistic perspective challenged traditional dualistic interpretation, positing consciousness as an integrated property of the physical body. The analysis of the perspective offers valuable insight into the diverse philosophical approach to understanding consciousness, contributing to contemporary discussion in the fields of philosophy of mind and other sciences. Thank you, sir.
Rinke,
Yes, sir.
what is the spelling of this Lemaitre or Lemaitre?
Lemaitre, sir. L-A, la, then slash M-E-T-T-R-I-E, Maitre.
Okay, R-I-E.
Yeah.
R-I-E.
M-E-T-T-R-I-E.
Okay, Lemaitre. See, I'll just give you one suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Because I have studied enough.
Sir, first thing I clear.
No, you did well. You did well. You did well. First of all, you have to know what you want to do. What is your hypothesis? Like, let us take it as a kind of a part of your thesis.
Yeah.
That way, you know what Descartes says and you know what Lemaitre says, right?
Yes.
And you try to build up your own idea. You can defend Descartes, and in that case, you have to criticize Lemaitre.
Sir,
Or, let's just listen to me first. You can also support the critic of Lemaitre as a critic of Descartes. You can support him also, but that support should be some kind of through the supplementation of new ideas from your side, right?
yes.
But what I want to suggest to you is, right now, you have given a descriptive view. What René Descartes spoke about consciousness, mind, res cogitans. These are these res extensa that you have given. Then you have given the criticism also, right?
Yes.
The whole point of the seminar is a kind of loud thinking is you have to know what you want to say. And then I always used to say in my class in Manipur University, before I know the others, before I find the world, I have to find myself first. Right? I have to find myself. I have to know what is there in my mind, what I want to do by way of presenting this kind of seminar.
Yes.
Right? That requires, of course, material survey, reading well, studying well, and try to see where you like, where you dislike, and then you have to have your own passion. What you want to do in a particular seminar by way of presenting a seminar. That he said like this is not going to help. So in that context, I will give you one suggestion. I've been telling this to Munmun also. I cited. Please read Roger Penrose. Roger Penrose view about this thing. He is the only one among the scientists. There are others also, but their views are completely suppressed by the majority view of reductionist view of physicalist theory of consciousness of neuroscientists, cognitive scientists, and artificial intelligence people. I have read so many things, right? So now you see, it is Roger Penrose, only one, and his co-associate researcher, a medical scientist, who refuted all these things. The position of Lemaitre, all these people, anybody, top cognitive scientists or artificial intelligence people, they will find it very difficult to answer to what Roger Penrose has suggested. And Roger Penrose, why I am speaking to Roger Penrose is because that is exactly what Shankaracharya and his followers stated about pure consciousness. He doesn't say pure consciousness, he said human understanding, human intelligence, which cannot be reduced to the physical processes of neural networking and its functions. That is the thing. Please read Roger Penrose. Right? You find out in the Google, you'll easily find out. So still, please try to find what exactly you want to do in a seminar presentation by way of giving a new idea. Because you have to speak something of what you are interested in. You can be descriptive also, no problem. Expositionary, you can have exposition also. You can be descriptive also, but it's better since you are still very young. After having a very critical material survey, please try to come up with your own idea. And this has been the fundamental defects of Indian education system, right? And the way how we have been taught, how research has been doing. I'm thoroughly against it because I taught education also. I've taught MEd education for one semester, 2005. I'm aware of learning theory, what is research, all those methodological issues. I've done a lot of research on that also because I'm multi. So please read Joseph Penrose's view on, he doesn't use consciousness. He says human understanding and human intelligence cannot be reduced to the functions, the mechanical functions of the neural network. Whatever you speak about on the level of brain, physical processes, all those things, mechanical, automata. He says there is somebody who understands all these things. So those physical processes cannot go back and understand that thing which they presuppose. And the same thing, the same language was used by Sureshwara Acharya. Right, that's the thing. So thank you very much. Munun, let's pass on to the next.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rinki Mishra. We have our last speaker for this session, Vedav Vyasa Bhanja, lecturer, Shalipur Autonomous College, Odisha. Are you there, Vedav Vyasa Bhanja? Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
What is the name of your college? Autonomous college? Which college?
Sir, Salipur Autonomous College in the, I say,
Alipur.
yes,
No,
Salipur, sir.
Salipur, Odisha.
Salipur, Odisha, sir.
Shalli.
No, sir. Silapur, sir. Salipur, Salipur.
Okay, Salipur Autonomous College.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Odisha. Okay, then you are a lecturer.
Yes, sir.
Please go on.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Very good morning to all. Esteemed chairperson of this session and coordinator of this program, Dr. Munun Chakravarti, madam. Today I am going to present a paper entitled with the concept of consciousness, a reflection on Rayleigh perspective. So the concept of consciousness occupies the central position in a philosophy of mind. The concept of consciousness or human awareness is one of the problem or perennial concern to philosophers and psychologists. Basically, there are two types of actions we consider. One is physical, another is mental. So, most people have a dominant tendency to physical over mental. The layman is uncritical of his mental activities, but the philosopher or the intellectuals pay critical attention to the mental state or mental abilities. There are various perspectives of consciousness, but I would like to focus on Rayleigh perspective of consciousness. The philosophers have tried their very best to know the relationship between mind and body. Since mind is non-physical, body is physical, mind is non-spatial, body is spatial, and explanation of the said relationship became challenging because body occupies some space, mind does not occupy any space. Body is extended, mind is non-extended. So now two questions raised. So how are they related? Is there any kind of relationship between mind and body? So Descartes holds that pineal gland is an organ that make a contact between the two. It works like a mediator between mind and body. He holds that there are certain facts that point to an intimate union between mind and body in man. For example, appetite is of hungry and thirst, emotion and passions of mind. So these are explained neither by the help of mind alone nor by the help of body alone. The close and intimate contact or union between the two, mind or body, can explain this help of pineal gland can do that contact. He insists that there is mind, but help of body can know mental activities. Hence, mental activities can be explained by the physical activities. In this manner, Descartes has reduced mind into the body. So now the question is, what is consciousness? And where does consciousness comes from? Consciousness is the core nature of mind. Consciousness is an inner state or mental phenomenon. In other words, consciousness is an ability to produce the input or inner feelings into the language. It is a type of automatic noticing of inner events of a certain sort. That we are aware of all mental states, that all mental states are in any circumstances open to introspection and in consequences. That we have infallible knowledge of all our mental states. Furthermore, it is a process to which other people have no access. One person is quite conscious of one's own mental state. For example, Mr. X is quite conscious of his duty. I do not have any access to know it whether he is really conscious or not. It may be possible that Mr. X is really not conscious of his duty, but he seems to be conscious from his own perspective. So this is the criterion of views regarding consciousness. But now I come to the what Gilbert Ryle speak about consciousness. So Gilbert Ryle refutes consciousness. Consciousness is myth. For him, he denies any kind of mental phenomena. In the work of Gilbert Ryle, only the wearer knows where the shoe pinch. He maintained that there is no access to know other people's consciousness or mental phenomena owing to. It is an inner feelings. He expressed that there is no consciousness. For instance, I was conscious that the furniture had been rearranged, or I was conscious that he was less friendly than usual. In such context, the word conscious is used instead of words like found out, realized, and discovered to indicate a certain noteworthy relationsness and consequent in articulation of the apprehension. The furniture looked different somehow, but the observer could not say what the difference were, or the man's attitude was unaccommodating in a number of ways, but the speaker could not enumerate or specify them. This use of conscious does not entail the existence of any special facilities, methods, or channels of apprehension. What we are conscious of in this sense may be a physical fact or a fact about someone else's state of mind. He held that the supposed deliverance of consciousness, if verbally expressible at all, would be expressed in the present, not in the past tense. Further, there is no inner theatre where we talk to ourselves and listen to ourselves. We only believe there is, but I admit that this should be dogmatism. Some account of the dog nature of our intuition must be given by an account which claims that they are illusory. One suggestion is that in such cases, as silent reading and mental arithmetic, our memory is such that is can deliver immediately. Not only a propositional report of some conclusion, but a highly complex report of the stages, or at least some of them. There are presumably stages which are never encoded in memorable from by which the conclusion was arrived at. So again, Rail holds that I can know what is happening in my mind, but I cannot know what is happening in your mind. Your mind is secret and private. Therefore, it should be rejected. So, Gilbert Ryle did not admit the consciousness as Descartes admit and other philosophers admit. But he rejects that because in the point, because we cannot know the minds of others. We can only know what's happening in our mind. So in this note, I end my presentation.
Uh, Mr. Vyas, I think you might be aware of the Australian philosopher who actually introduced, who activated, I should say, who activated, who made a new discourse on consciousness possible. What is that Australian philosopher whose name, who spoke about heart problem and soft problem? Because I'm always forgetting his name.
David Chalmers. David Chalmers.
David Sharma. David Sharma is a very handsome guy with a long hair, you know. I've listened to many of his discussions, YouTube-based kind of discussions, right? So he was the one. Consciousness went underground because of the attacks, just like Gilbert Ryle said he rejected consciousness. And the inner circle, there is a logical positivism, you know, positivist kind of a system, they control analytical philosophy. So consciousness went underground. It became unpopular. It was actually rejected as if it is not an issue. Rene Descartes was criticized heavily. Even now he is being criticized by the neuroscientists, artificial intelligence people. But the thing is, one thing you have missed, I believe, according to what I understand, within modern Western philosophy, that is during the last few decades, 50, 60 years, from the middle part of 20th century and the 21st century, which is running now, at that time, it was somewhere in the 90s. David Chalmers introduced the issue of consciousness by making this distinction between soft power and hard power. Till now, many neuroscientists are struggling. So now Gilbert Ryle will be little in the past, right? He is very much belonging to the analytical positivist kind of thing, right? What is the year of Gilbert Ryle? He is when he wrote that book.
The concept of mind.
Which year?
That exactly I forget the year.
No, you should know this because you know historical method is also one thing you should always remember. Because this periodization is very important. Because this David Chalmers he became popular. He became very popular not only in philosophy but in cognitive science, artificial intelligence, neuropsychology, neurobiology, quantum physics, and quantum consciousness. He is everywhere. He was the one
Yes.
who started this debate again, who reactivated the basic issue, the ancient traditional problem of both Western and Indian philosophy went underground because of scathing criticism by the logical positivists. I think Gilbert Ryle must be the person who said the ghost in the machine,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Now
sir.
you see, please try to refer to David Chalmers' soft problem and hard problem. And I believe that he was influenced by Husserl. Husserl talks about, this analysis about John sees red and John sees redly. Redly, adverbial modifier. Right. So now that Husserl's distinction between, he was trying to explain hypothetical intentionality. in that context, Husserl talks about two types of accounts. One is relational account, the other one is adverbial account. So adverbial account is more subjective. It refers to what David Chalmers speaks about heart problem. Seeing red and experiencing red. Heart problem of consciousness, according to David Chalmers, is experiencing red, first person, your subjective awareness of red. Then seeing red. Seeing red is objective. When I say there is a red rose, everybody can see, confirm. When I experience red, then there is heart problem. Seeing red is soft problem. And in Husserlian terminology, John sees red. John says that I see red there. John sees red, and it is much easier. But John sees redly. Husserl calls that as adverbial modifier. And that Husserl brings in to explain in his descriptive psychological explanation of active consciousness, which is there even in your dream, in hallucination, in fantasy, in imagination, in everything, as invariable kind of structure of mind, descriptive structure of mind. So Husserl had his own purpose. David Chalmers had his own purpose. So please refer to David Chalmers. And you please refer to Husserl also.
Yes, sir.
And for that, you have to take the help from Madam Munmun.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I've been knowing her since when she was doing her thesis. Right? She has done a very good thesis, right? You take help from her. You have to know the history, how David Chalmers came, then when, which year Gilbert Ryle belongs to, his concept of mind, which year. So that means when you are talking about Gilbert Ryle, his criticism of René Descartes' consciousness, you should also keep in mind that later development in the form of David Chalmers' introduction of heart problem and soft problem of consciousness, which is still now a hot issue of philosophy of science, philosophy of mind, and even among the cognitive scientists, among the psychobiologists, and artificial intelligence people. Please keep that in mind. That is my suggestion. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, Chairperson, sir, if you allow, then I would like to say a few words before you conclude the session, because we don't have any other participants. Sir, shall I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I enjoyed all the papers. First of all, I would like to thank, all the participants who have come forward for making this presentation. I appreciate your effort, and that's really nice that there were around 62 participants, but out of that only you 7 have come out and come forward to make the presentation, and that's really nice. I appreciate that you got the opportunity and you have utilized that. That's really important. And also you have shared your views, your research works on different areas. That is also very interesting. And Professor our Milan and our chairperson, he has given several observation comments which are very important, and you should think about that while you are developing your works and doing your research on that areas. Now, yes.
Ma'am, I ask a question, Dr. Milan sir. So,
Yes.
sir, my research area is philosophy, exploration of. Excellent, sir, 1 second.
No, I'm not concluding. Rinki, you will get a chance, but I just want to say a few things. Let me complete this, and then I will come to you again. You will get the chance. So regarding first paper, Govinda Bhattacharya, I would like to say, as what chairperson said, Professor Milan, you have to develop some critical perspective while working on the problem, that is Habermas' understanding of moral consciousness. That is important because research is something not like where we are simply working on a particular thinker. We are making a kind of critical analysis of the contemporary ideas, and some kind of comparison and comparative analysis is required. So that is one thing you can keep in your mind. And regarding the next paper, Consciousness in Shankar Philosophy, presented by Biplab Malik, I would say that, yeah, regarding the concept that, yes, when you say there are concepts of plurality of Purushas, if you remember, Professor Raghunath Ghosh just made a paper day before yesterday, and he was mentioning that there is the very idea of plurality of consciousness is actually not the thing. Like they are not ultimately accepting that there are many Purushas. This is because there is no such a, I think, proper terminology that they didn't use. But what they mean there is the jivas. The same idea we have even in Vedanta, Advaita, that the jivas are considered as many, but not the very nature of soul or atman, that is they consider one only. So the same idea they even Professor Ghosh also has made, that later Shankhya has accepted in later part, that because the problem is once they accept the plurality of Purusha concept, then they cannot actually, there will be a lot of chaos and they cannot strengthen their position. So I think that part you must reconsider, and you must read that idea that Jara Marana, the birth and death is not attached to Purusha, suffering is not attached to Purusha, because if Purusha is really in bondage, then he cannot get liberation. So that's the position. Philosophically, it has a difficulty. And then the next paper regarding Ayush Srivastav, dreamless state of consciousness. I would just say that instead of saying that dreamless sleep as a state of consciousness, why don't you think that consciousness is the basis, and waking experience, dreaming experience, or deep sleep experience, that is Shushupti, these are all passing states. Okay, so consciousness is not something that only express in deep sleep state. It is always there, whether we call it waking experience or dreams experience or deep sleep. It is always there. Only the states are changing, and these are passing. So then only we can consider about that absolute nature or transcendental nature of consciousness. So this is one thing that you must rethink. You can rethink on that. That of course what you have made in your presentation, that was good. That is okay. But that's how you can understand or modify the title of your presentation. Next is, Kamalika's paper, that is a problem of other mind. Yeah, just one thing related to that, I would say that, as Professor Milan says, that we don't have that much of discussion regarding problem of other minds in Indian philosophy. I would say, sir, that the reason is because I think we don't consider in Indian philosophy mind as a identical with consciousness. For us, even mind is a product of Prakriti, and that is material, like intellect, like Buddhi, Mahat, Manas, all are products of Prakriti. And that's the reason perhaps we are less concerned about, Indian thinkers are less concerned about the problem of mind, rather they are more concerned about subjective experience, consciousness, self. And that's why if you notice, like modern contemporary Western understanding of mind and consciousness, it has changed over the period of time, because problem of mind was initially, it was there. Descartes has initiated the problem, but then later it has taken a different shape. in last 2 decades, the problem is no longer a problem of mind. It's a problem of consciousness. So, and that's a new, idea that has developed, a new problem. Before, even Daman Moran has made the point, and even if you can also, if you read the last literature of last 2 decades, you can notice that it has been developed only in last 2 decades, not before that. Maybe psychologist William James, they have mentioned, but philosophical analysis, philosophical theories about the nature of consciousness and all, we can see it is just a recent development in Western world. But it is not the case in Indian tradition. And in India, we have the idea of consciousness, Chit or self or Atman, from the time of Vedas or Upanishads. So that's why, perhaps because they don't consider that self or consciousness is identical with mind. It's not identical. So that's why they are not worried about the problem of mind. Rather, they are worried about the problem of self or subjectivity. And these are the ideas that came to my mind. I thought that it's better to share with you. And yes, even the concept of consciousness paper that Vedavyas Bhanjan has presented, I would say that Ryle interpretation is again an interpretation of mind-body relation. His critique of Descartes is based on that. They have hardly addressed the problem of consciousness, which I would like to say that if, in a true sense, David Chalmers has actually addressed for the first time. He has popularized the problem. Of course, he is also dualist. He has also no solution to the problem, and he has only offered us few theories, few ideas like panpsychism and that, this and that. So we can think about it. But Ryle or Descartes, they have, in my opinion, they have not addressed the problem of consciousness. For them, it is only the mind-body problem, not the problem of subjectivity, not the heart problem at all. So these are my observation. I thank Chairperson sir for allowing me to share my views. And now it's over to you, sir.
Okay, I think one participant wanted to say something. Is he still there?
Yes, sir. I Rinki
No.
Misra. Sir,
Yeah,
I
tell
want
me.
to ask you, sir,
Hello.
Hello.
Rinki, go ahead.
Hello.
hello. Hello, sir. I am audible?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, something went wrong. Just okay, I can hear. Tell me.
Sir, I want to ask you, my research area is philosophy of mind, and my research title is exploration of mind and machine, the cohesive relation of Descartes' animal machine and LaMetre man machine. Then, sir, what I do regarding my research, and please you suggest me the content and the related to the books, something like that.
Yeah, let me actually first check the materials I have. I have so many things, right?
Okay, sir.
So
I have
then
two methods on LaMetre. Descartes I have, but LaMetre I have no. Only man
okay.
only available here.
Let me check because about LaMetre I don't know anything about.
Yes, sir.
So you said mind and machine, right?
Mind and machine.
Okay, okay. Let me see. Let me first. Right now, I cannot say anything to you because my mind is always shifting. Doing one thing, different things at different times. So I may have to check my folders, right?
Okay, sir.
I might be having so many materials with me, right? I will. You send me your email and WhatsApp number to me,
Okay.
right?
So where I send?
To my number. Actually, I have two numbers.
So
You
I
note
have,
down my number.
okay, sir. Please.
I don't know how to send it here because Have you pen in your hand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
93
Yes, sir.
66
Uh,
730
uh,
947.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, through that you send me a WhatsApp, your WhatsApp number, everything, and I will upload. I will try to upload. Better you send me your email also. You take my email,
Okay, sir.
Milan Muni, small letters,
Mhm.
continuous, no hyphen, nothing in between. P Milan, MILAN. हिंदी वाला मिलन है.
Uh-huh.
P Milan Muni, MUNI
Uh-huh.
@yahoo.com. Is it okay?
Hmm.
So first thing is that you have to be little clear of what you want.
Okay, sir.
Because that is actually very important, because it is actually based on what you want to do. Whether you want to go for reductionist physical theory of consciousness or
Actually, sir, I could not understand which type of structure going on in my thesis. It's
so
a
I think
bit,
you know, that's why you need to have material survey. That's why in nowadays you have as a PhD course you have it is a requirement there in methodology. All these things are actually studied, right? I've taken many classes. I found many research scholars confused, not clear of what they want to do. That's what I said. You have to know your mind, what you want to do. It is based on what you want to do.